Hello. Today's topic is going to be about MBTI and intelligence. So, what's your MBTI type and how intelligent are you? Which MBTI types do you think are the most intelligent and which ones do you think are the least intelligent? Do you think I'm going to answer that question? Well, I'm an extrovert, so I talk my thoughts out and then I draw conclusions. So, when I was looking up some things on this, I was surprised at how many different findings there are. I think in order to get an accurate response, you would have to have a huge group of accurately typed MBTI personalities that are taking an IQ test. So when you think of IQ, we automatically think intelligence, right? Of course, I saw many things that said the NTs are the highest. However, ranking up there with INTPs and INTJs was INFJs and INFPs in some studies. Then there were other studies that had ENTPs higher than ENTJs and ISTJs higher than some of the other types. So, can you really put a label on intelligence? There are so many factors that determine IQ, including emotional stability, common sense factors, determination, willpower, and conscientiousness. How were you raised? Was academic achievement a central focus in your house? Did you have intellectual discussions around the dinner table? Who were you raised by? My dad is a sports fanatic, so he took me to play all kinds of sports, and I was still terrible at it. But he was also an avid reader, so he has a very broad, extensive vocabulary. But I also had an INTJ mother, and you know INTJs are always pushing for improvements and how we can make things better. People always associate NTs with science, but I know so many NTs who aren't into science at all. They're more into reading and writing. On the contrary, I actually know quite a few SPs who are into the sciences. There are some studies that say intuitives have higher intelligence than sensors. But how can that be true? In some cases, yes. And I know sensors who push themselves very hard academically. I know SP valedictorian and salutatorians who use that SP competitive edge to push themselves forward. So I think the only way to fairly look at Myers-Briggs and intelligence is to look at your own individual type. So I'm an ENFJ, so I'm sure there are broad levels of intelligence across my type. What are your critical thinking skills? How hard were you pushed towards rigorous learning? How about birth order? I did a video on birth order, and studies show that the oldest born is pushed a lot harder or feels more pressure to achieve academically in general compared to middleborns and lastborns. Have you ever noticed that there's lots of different kinds of ENFPs and ISTJs and ESFPs and ESTPs? One of the reasons for that could be because there are 8 different intelligences. So, for example, there's musical intelligence. I have musical intelligence, and that just means that you can play an instrument, that you understand rhythms and harmonies, pitches. When I was a very little girl, my parents noticed, or at least they thought, I could play the piano. And so they put me in music lessons, and eventually I went to a performing arts school. So that's a type of intelligence, but does that mean that all ENFJs can play the piano? Now listen to the other intelligences and see if you think that they're a natural fit for some MBTI types or not. So there's logical mathematical. That means that the person is logical. They're good at taking tests, critical thinking skills. They're good at graphs and organization. Then there's verbal linguistic, which means that they're good at poems, reading, writing, learning other languages. I've known some NFs that pick up on languages really quickly and easily, but I know they're not the only ones. Interpersonal intelligence, that means that you understand people's emotions and moods and that you're good at motivating others. If you have body kinesthetic intelligence, you're probably very good at sports. You can handle objects and your body very well. You may be athletic. There's visual spatial intelligence. How well can you visualize and picture something? Can you get through a maze? Are you really good at maps? Could you turn yourself around on a football field? Which one of those 8 intelligences fit you? Think about your MBTI type and ask yourself if you have intrapersonal intelligence. That's how you understand yourself, your own strengths, your own weaknesses. You can go internal and understand yourself very, very well. And then the last one is naturalistic intelligence. It's the newest one, which means that you can recognize things in the real world, like hunters, fishermen, gardeners. They have a very high understanding of biology in nature. And let us not forget emotional intelligence. That's a biggie. Genetics certainly play a big role in intelligence. And how about survival skills? Could that be considered an intelligence? I've met kids who just have street smart that you can't make that up. Some of it is taught, some of it is environmental. And then how about those people who have no academic influence? There's no one telling them or pushing them to study or work hard, and they just get it. I've seen people with the perfect environment that seemed destined for college, and then they flunk out. And then there are those people who have no financial support and no one telling them that they have to go, and they just do it and become incredibly successful. Those are survivors. They have an instinct. I know of an INTJ in particular who grew up in poverty, who became supremely successful. I've seen the same thing happen to an ENTP, and I've also seen an ESTP rise to the top, just conquer every barrier because of the sheer will and determination. You know, some people just have a tenacity, a hunger to succeed. You could be super intelligent and super lazy. You could also be average intelligence, but just have an interest in learning and have the skills to push forward and achieve and conquer. So let's switch gears here. Let's make your intelligence a lot more concrete. So take out a pen and paper, and I want you to write in cursive a couple of sentences, and I'm going to give you a quick little lesson. A person's way of processing information, learning habits, and thinking patterns are very important in understanding their approach to life. And you can see this in someone's handwriting. You can see this mostly in the letters M and N, and it's also supported by the letters R and H. When you see poorly shaped M's and N's, there's an indicator that the mental abilities are underdeveloped. There are 3 different types of intelligences that can be shown through the handwriting. The first one is shown here. Do you make your M's and N's this way? The M's and N's have a very rounded formation. So if you make your M's and N's rounded in this way, then you reach conclusions only after carefully accumulating all facts. You don't like to rush your thinking, to have to hurry with a decision. You like to build all facts until you see a finished product. You don't rely on first impressions to form your opinions. Rather, you carefully work out each detail as you build toward your conclusions. Your thinking tends to be careful and based on established facts because you feel this is a reliable way to reach the right answer. You're inclined to build one idea upon another, accumulating facts until you have enough to reach a conclusion. There's a good deal of methodical thinking in your makeup. It enables you to build your conclusions from facts based upon facts. Can't relate to that type of intelligence? Well, check out the second one, the investigative exploratory thinker. This is a person whose M's and N's are sharply pointed at the top, making a triangle or wedge-like formation. The narrower and sharper or higher the wedge, the more effective and active is exploratory thinking. This person comprehends the other person's viewpoint rapidly and is ready with his reply. So people with this ability to understand rapidly are better able to adjust to a variety of situations. So if this is you, you can assemble facts and dig deeply to discover new information. You like to delve into a subject for new facts and can assemble existing materials easily. Building to a scientific conclusion is important to you, but you may need to explore to disclose new material pertinent to the project. Deep study as well as careful accumulation of data is something you appear to enjoy and do very well. If what you wish to know is not available, you'll search for it. After carefully examining the handwriting in samples 1 and 2, and you still don't see those traits in your handwriting, then check out this third sample. It could mean that you are the comprehensive thinker. If you have needlepoint humps in your M's, N's, H's, and R's, and your M's look like W's and your N's look like U's, then that means that you grasp ideas and concepts instantly. If you're the instant thinker, you learn without showing great effort. You get annoyed at slow thinkers, ones to whom you must repeat information. You're on the move, always in a hurry. No one has to draw a picture to get you to see what they're talking about. If you had fun watching this video with me, then hit the thumbs up button and also subscribe. Thanks for watching Tams PsychAdvice. Bye.